was sitting with a husband and wife and their son and daughter going over wills and trusts.
Mhm.
Right? And the son goes, "Oh, what is this pre-need?" I'm like, pre-need is, prepaying for funeral rate. And he goes, "Oh, like a funeral expense trust." And I'm like, quite sure what that is. And he goes, "Well, her mother died and they had, this much money set aside, but it costs this much more." And I'm like, well, that could have been for things that the funeral home had no control over, whether that's, the cards, the urn, the casket, whatever. I don't know, but I've never heard of a funeral expense trust.
So
Then we started talking about that, and we'll get back to that.
Yeah, so final expense trust, and it sounds like they have a irrevocable trust with a funeral home. Might be an older deal. You can have a pre-need and have an irrevocable assignment to a funeral home, which means that's where it's going to go, especially for people like on Alltech and they got to do a spend down, right? You do
those.
So you do the irrevocable assignment to the funeral home. Did that help you?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Because that's like I've never heard of.
Yeah. So the other thing is someone will say, well, I've got a payable upon death. It's called a POD. I got a payable upon death at the bank. Hey, great. How long you been doing that? Oh, we've been putting $100 in there every other month or so. We got about $5,000-$6,000 in there. That's going to cover everything. Excellent. Congratulations. Has anyone ever shared with you what's required for payable upon death to pay? To get that money? Has anyone ever shared that with you? No. I sat with my banker and I said, I got to ask you this question, Vince, because I'm running into this about payable upon death and I don't know how to deal with it. He goes, I said, what's required to get the money from the payable upon death? A certified death certificate. So if someone says, I got a payable upon death, okay, great, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. Has anyone ever shared with you what's required to get that money? Okay. And they'll say, oh, no, it's a certified copy of the death certificate. And my friends, if you have done your insurance properly and your personal planning guide properly, as soon as you say certified copy of the death certificate, they're going to go, oh. Let's say you have an irrevocable assignment to Red Mountain Funeral Home. You're with the family, they want to come here, right? But we don't want our kids to get it. We don't want our kids to touch it. So they irrevocably assign it to the funeral home. Now, if they move to Tennessee, now there's a lot of issues to get that transferred to that funeral. So irrevocable assignment cuts out the family. Sometimes some people have issues with their family. 100%, and they have to initial it. No, don't do it automatically. Don't do it unless they ask. Unless they ask. Don't do it automatically. And most people have no clue what that is. The people in assisted living, they know exactly what it is. So you might get the call, right? So Voss might give you a call. One of these assisted living homes might say, hey, I need to do a spend down for this lady, okay? Because they can only have, $2,000, something like that? Okay. Okay. Right, so let's say at Alltech they got, let's say they're at $1,800 and the next payment they're going to get is going to be $200. They're going to be at $2,000. Now they can be kicked off the next month out of Alltech, correct? So what they'll do is they'll call you in and say, okay, we want to do a spend down for them. And so what they may do is they may say, we want to take $2,000. So they give you $1,000 out of their account, that person's account, and then they have a payment. We do the payment plan, right, for just less than what their monthly is. So if they get monthly from wherever it comes from, Medicare or whatever, right, and it's $150, they want you to write it for $90 a month, right? So when that $150 comes in, then $90 goes out, right? And so that difference doesn't build up and get them kicked off. Yeah, because it's a pre-need funeral plan. It's not regular life insurance. Regular life insurance, they want that. You're going to go into long-term care. A lot of times they want to take, let's say you got a $25,000 life insurance policy and you go into long-term care. A lot of times they want that assigned to them. So when you die, right, they get money for it. They can't, and if you do a funeral plan, you can put up to $25,000 in it that nobody can touch because I've never had anybody do it, but it's always been, as far as I know, it's always been up to 25. No one ever does it. Okay. All right. What's the purpose of miscellaneous final expenses? To make it available for the family. Okay. What happens if miscellaneous final expenses? If it's $1,000 and they only use $300, what happens to the other $7? Back to the family. Beneficiary or estate? Estate. Estate.
Not the state of Arizona. Estate.
Oh, their family. So if somebody has a trust, everything's in that trust. That's called an estate. E-S. Not like the United States, but an estate. Okay. Yeah, property. Yeah, and so if you don't name a beneficiary, it'll go back to the estate, and then the kids can fight about it. I don't put a beneficiary on it unless they want one.